This is News 8 Morning Extra.
October is National Domestic Violence Awareness Month, and unfortunately recent studies show cases have risen during quarantine. So what can you do if you find yourself or someone you know in a violent situation? This is an important conversation we need to be having. So this morning, licensed therapist and social worker Jamie Bornstein and domestic abuse survivor Orna Walters joined me to discuss this. Ladies, welcome. Orna, thank you so much for being so brave and sharing your story. Orna, I want to talk to you. I want you to tell us your story. What happened to you?
I'm the director.
Well, I was living with my boyfriend, who I'd been with a little over a year and a half, and I thought he was the guy I would spend my life with, right? We've all had those relationships where you think you found the one. And on New Year's Eve of 1994, he beat me. And it was really the wake-up call of a lifetime. It was terrifying, and not to mince words, I'm just going to say that I'm only alive here today because our door wasn't closed. Our front door was kind of ajar, and the neighbor came in and saved my life.
Wow.
And it was definitely a terrifying night. But the thing that really plagued me was, how did that happen? I know I'm smart, I'm educated. I had already graduated from UCLA with honors. And yet here I was in this situation. And so the physical wounds certainly took time to heal, but they healed rather quickly compared to the thoughts in my head when I was wondering, how did that happen? How did I choose somebody who would harm me when that was the last thing I actually wanted?
Why do you think so many women have a hard time getting away? Because I'm going to go out on a limb and say that wasn't the first time something happened, right? I mean, there were warning signs.
Well, see, that's very interesting because when I found myself at the neighbor's apartment and his girlfriend was literally handing me their phone and I dialed 911. And while we were waiting for that to happen, my clothes were torn and I was terrified. But I remember something she said. She looked right in my eyes and she said, "That's what happened with the last girlfriend."
Oh, my gosh.
And I want to say this, one of the biggest mistakes that women make through the dating process is we're too accommodating, right? We're taught to be, to go along to get along, make a nice impression. And we don't trust our intuition. And I really want people to understand that there wasn't an abuse situation with my boyfriend. There was one argument that happened before that New Year's Eve. And he, in an argument, he grabbed me and he shook me.
Oh.
And that was my first warning sign. And I was going to leave the relationship immediately. And I went and stayed with friends for a few weeks. And he begged me to come back. And I said I would only come back if we went to therapy. I knew better, but I it's like that thing, like I didn't trust myself. And so what I really want women to understand is you are never responsible for someone else's behavior. Because as women, we take on the shame of these events. And that's why so many women don't want to come forward. And what I really want women to understand who have been through any kind of trauma, whether it's physical or emotional or somebody cheated on you, that is not because of your behavior. That action belongs to that man. And we as women take on shame that doesn't belong to us.
You started this by saying that, how did this happen to me? It happens to a lot of strong women. I'm sorry to cut you off, Orna. We're running out of time, but thank you so much for sharing your story, your message. If there's anyone out there who's watching right now and they need help, we have a 24-hour domestic violence hotline right there on your screen, 619-234-3164. Ladies, thank you so much. Jamie, Orna, thank you so much for joining us. This is an important conversation, like I said, that we should be having.
Yeah. Yes, thank you so much, Stella.
Thank you.
Have a great day.
This took me back to when I was in college. I had a boyfriend who was not so good to me. Never really shared this story and not going to get into it right now or anything, but I think one of the first things that went through my mind at that time was, how did this happen to me?
Yeah, sure.
As soon as she said that, I resonated with her.
Well, it's nothing that you did wrong or that she did wrong.
No.
And don't put the blame on you. And I think, and she knew that too, but there's those little warning signs, right? And those warning signs look different.
Yeah, she said he shook her. That's why I said, I'm going to go out on a limb and say there might have been a sign,
Sure.
like some kind of argument where you're like, Ooh,
Yeah.
that's a sign.
Well, it can even
Trust
be
your gut.
verbally to start.
Oh, yeah.
Right? So
Verbal abuse
wow.
is abuse.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And it can lead to physical, as we've learned too. So a very important conversation for us all to be having. Be sure to reach out if you need some help.
Yeah.